that I have to speak to believers. And so for the past 2 years, I've had the honor and the privilege of speaking on faith and mental health, making sure that people understand the importance of the relationship between the two, and that you actually don't know one without the other. And so, as Patina said, I am here from Maryland. I came yesterday. Yes, we did meet on the flight, and I know it was God ordained because I was praying that I did not want any loud people to sit next to me. And I had my earbuds in, and I was determined to take a nap. And out of nowhere, the flight attendant says, "Oh, you guys, there's 2 seats right here." And I was like, "Oh gosh." And it was Pastor Wayne and Pastor. And the minute she said hello, I knew it was not going to be a quiet flight. And we chatted.
She gave me a hard time.
She pulled out her laptop.
I was quiet.
And started taking that.
Oh, you were
he
quiet.
took a nap.
I was quiet.
I didn't take the nap. But me and Pastor Tina talked the whole, 2.5 hours?
Yes.
And strategized, and I knew it was God. And before you knew it, she was saying you have to come to Milwaukee. So I'm here. So let's get started. Let's talk about, it's important to turn it on. There we go. So I have a private practice in Largo, Maryland, where for the past 2 years I have been providing therapy to therapists, other professionals, and couples. I also do anger management, so I'm a certified anger management specialist, and I do groups for mandated and non-mandated people who feel like they need help adjusting how they think and how they respond to people that they either work with, who they love. You guys have an awesome worship video. I just have to backtrack. Every ministry needs a first. I've been blessed, thank you. And so, over the past year and a half, I had the opportunity to step outside of my comfort zone. What you see today is not who I normally am. I'm a big introvert. I am okay watching Netflix, working hard, and resting. But when I have an assignment such as this, I realize that I have to come out of myself because somebody needs to hear this information and understand the importance of bringing normalcy and understand how common mental health is. So I am now a speaker, not by choice, God forced it.
You said yes.
I said yes. I came out of myself. And I'm an author. Never thought I would write a book. Wrote a couple of books. And now I am traveling. And so I know it's God because Sharon would not have done this. Sharon could not have done this. And so I'm grateful for him. Now, when is mental health important? Every day. I think that we just kind of forget how necessary it is to give attention to. And so my whole mission is making sure that people are incorporated in their day-to-day lives. So that's who I am. I'm originally from New York City. I don't have an accent. I lost it a long time ago. But if I'm excited, and I'm going to say it all proper now, water and coffee. But if I'm excited, it comes out in a very New York deep accent. Right? And so what I want to do just for a few minutes, if you will indulge me, just kind of connect with the person next to you and find out if they are interested or have a love or passion for one of these things. Country music, roller coasters, skating, that can be rollerblading, roller skating, ice skating, knitting or crocheting, wearing yellow. Have the yellow one. Owns a motorcycle. Okay. Left-handed.
Not me. I'll be you.
Ran a marathon, or even a triathlon.
run someday.
Okay. So, the person that you're connecting with, did you learn something new about them?
Interesting.
Look, they're still talking. Okay. What you heard from the person, did you know that already about them? Or did you learn something new? Okay. So, normally when I do this bingo assignment, it's actually a sheet of paper. And I will have people walk around the room and try and get bingo for a prize. And in the end, they say, why did you do that assignment? And I'll say, I did that because you can't tell what a person has a passion for or what they've done based on looking at them. That's the same with mental illness, unless you're highly symptomatic. But if you're not, you may not know what the person sitting next to you is actually going through.
Right.
If I told you I had panic attacks because I was being bullied in the workplace, you would say, you? But you're so cute. Right? And I was saying, no, yeah, me. Didn't want to go into work. Crying. And my husband said, okay, now it's time. Because your emotional well-being is more important than what's happening in there.
Yes.
So you can't always tell what is happening with someone by looking at it. Which means you don't want to ever make assumptions that people are perfectly well, not understanding that there's something and there could possibly be chaos happening on the inside, like hurricane. Something that needs to be addressed. Okay? And so, thank you for doing that. But now you know a little bit more about your new friends, and make sure you guys go do those things together. Right? I know you're like, maybe not. Okay. So 1 in 5 people are impacted by mental illness. It doesn't say 1 in 5 people outside of the church. It doesn't say 1 in 5 people inside the church. It's 1 in 5 people in general. Meaning, believers are impacted by mental illness. 1 in 25 people are living with a serious mental illness. So that's referring to someone who may have schizophrenia, bipolar. Okay? Because, again, we're talking about highly symptomatic.
Are you, in that figure, are you talking about like dementia and Alzheimer's and people too? Or no?
No, not in this case. But you can. So I'm going to get to that because I want to be able to talk about how we screen. And so yes, numbers could be in there, but I'm talking about highly symptomatic, where it's impacting your ability to function in general in the workplace, where normally you would be at work, and all of a sudden now you're highly symptomatic and you are unable to maintain healthy relationships. But I don't want to jump too far ahead of myself. All right. That is 43.8 million adults a year. 60% of those adults with a mental illness did not receive help. That's major. Why do you think someone would not go get help? Shame, stigma, denial, lack of resources. That's another one. There are many people who don't know that what's happening, but also if their insurance company even covers services.
Wow.
But we'll get to that too. This is a question I always ask my clients, because when they're coming to me, I'm not the solution giver. I'm the person that's presenting strategies, and they're determining what works best for them. So my question always is, what do you need right now to be okay? Basically, if you had a magic wand, what would you tap? Just like in the rug, would you change your outfit? Would you change your friends? Would you change your childhood narrative? Basically, would you rewrite the script of how you choose to live your life? what do you need to be okay? And one of the first questions answers I hear is, I don't know. And I challenge them, I want you to dig deeper. Because the answer is within you. I can give ideas, but I always tell individuals, I cannot be the one to say, okay, here, do this, and this. People don't often commit when people just say, do this, and this. They commit to what they believe is doable and realistic. And so you have to build confidence in clients and within yourself that you do know what's best for you. The other part of that question is, what do I need to be healthy long term? So we're not just talking about correcting something in the here and now. We're talking about how do you sustain it? And make sure that you live the best life, the best victorious life that you want to live, especially as a believer. So let's talk about what is mental health, physical health, and social health. They're all fundamentally linked together. You can't have one without the other. The mind, the body, and the soul. If you snatch one, they're gone with it. They're connected. Your brain, if there is a chemical imbalance, where Dr. Anita Phillips will say, sometimes if a part of your brain is broken, would you not want to correct it? If there's money missing out of your bank account, where are you going on Monday morning? To the bank, right? If you need a cut, where are you running to? To the doctor? To the first aid kit? Right? If you sprain your ankle, you're looking for the A bandage. We always have strategies and responses to certain areas of health. But when it comes to mental health, because of stigma, because of shame, because of lack of education, people often will refrain from getting the help that they need. And so my message today is to say, treat your mental health like you would any other area of harm or dysfunction in your life. Address it. We don't have the luxury to be able to ignore what happens when we're not thinking properly. It impacts every area of our lives. If I'm not doing what I need to do mentally, I can't be effective as a clinician. I can't be effective as a wife. I can't be effective as the super cool bonus mom / godmother / auntie that I am. Because they're going to say, what's wrong today? I can't do what I need to do to impact those I come in contact with every day. But first and foremost, I'm not happy. So before everyone can get what they need, I have to take care of me. My gifts to everyone else are really the overflow of how I take care of me. If I don't take care of me, they get scraps or they get nothing. And so I'm always focused on making sure I'm committed to myself, meaning being aware, acknowledging it, and addressing it. So not only am I a therapist for therapists, I'm also a therapist with a therapist. I follow my own advice. I make sure that I'm connected to a therapist who's a believer, who is able to integrate my faith into my journey of emotional health continuously. So when I walk out, I know I've done what I'm supposed to do to cater to myself. And therefore, I'm a better example because I truly understand what people are going through every day. But I'm also understanding that the journey is not always easy but it's necessary
Amen. Yeah.
and cannot be ignored. So you have this link between, and often when people hear about health or health concerns, they think about disease and infirmity. And this health is defined as a state of complex physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. Health is every part of your being. The social, the physical, and the emotional. It's not just, oh, I'm not sick, I'm good. It's how you think, it's how you feel, it's how you connect to people. Socialization is necessary. Anyone who has studied sociology knows socialization is necessary in order to survive in society.
Yeah.
We have to be able to engage one another. You talked about relationships. That's how we thrive. We build up ourselves. We figure out who we are. We understand the cultures and the subcultures around us. It's necessary to function. And we need it. Again, you can't remove it from your life. So awareness is what really does change. It changes everything when you're aware of what's happening internally and how important it is to focus on your health, your overall health. I always hear there is no health without mental health because it's connected. So I said this already. Mental health disorder or mental illness is a diagnosable illness that one affects a person's thinking, emotional state, and behavior. It impacts your ability to carry out daily functions. You ever heard of someone canceling constantly, not wanting to go out and engage with people? You make plans, but then you don't keep them. You isolate. Your house is not as clean as it normally is. Even how you keep your environment is a sign that depression could be present in your life. Now, if you've done that since day one, right? But if you know that you're Holly Hobby, right? Or who's the guy from The Odd Couple, Felix, right? So everything had a place. But if you know for a fact you wake up and you're like, why are there clothes everywhere? What's happening? Pay attention. Is there something else going on with me because I'm not who I normally am? Pay attention to yourself. You're good at diagnosing other people. We're extremely good at that. We'll see somebody go, yeah, they have a lot of issues. Yeah, they need to get it together. We're guilty. But I'm also that person where I'll tell on myself, I'm like, yes, it is not a great day. I need to just regroup, reset, hit the pause button, and get myself together.
Yes.
And I will tell you this. If I have a day where I feel like I cannot give 100% to my clients, I will notify them. I need to rest today. Because when they sit on that chair, I also have an ethical obligation to be able to give them every part of my skill set. And if I can't do that, I'm not going to pretend to do that. It's very important to me that I show up 100. And if I need a break, and I'm telling them to take a break when they need it, why would I not follow my own advice? And my clients are so awesome. I may wake up the next day and have a text message saying, okay, let me know when I come in. I hope you're taking good care of yourself. And I go, I have the best clients ever. Because they understand the journey. Depression and anxiety, by raise of hands, how many of you think that those are the two most common diagnosable forms of mental illness? Where's my LMT There's a licensed marriage therapist.
Massage therapist. She's not here.
Okay, I'm sorry. See, that's what happens when you have credentials that look alike. I'm thinking it's a licensed marriage therapist. I'm sorry. Okay. And so.
But massage helps marriage, no.
There you go. That's part of self-care. We're gonna talk about that. So that's important. But they are the most common mental illness, but also they mimic one another. And sometimes they go hand in hand. So one person may say, I'm really anxious, and they start isolating, and they start pacing back and forth, and they start avoiding situations. They don't show up for meetings. They don't return phone calls. Okay, their palms get sweaty. They can't meet deadlines. They don't take care of home. They can't tend, to the family obligations. And before you know it, it also impacts how they see themselves. So now you're depressed because you can't function at 100. You can't function at 75. Matter of fact, you may not be able to function at 30. And again, the awareness is what says, okay, what do I need right now to be okay to come out of this? So I'm giving you all the heavy stuff first, and then we're going to talk about strategies, because a lot of people don't know the basic things about mental health 101, about how common it is, how the stigma even impacts the therapeutic world. Even in the therapist world, there are therapists who will say, I provide treatment, but, I don't believe in going to therapy. Wait, and I'm going, okay, take their name off the referral list, right? Right. I want to jump in so bad, I'm trying to slow myself down, I'm sorry. Okay. All right. The other thing is, what's your name, sir? Astros. Wesley. So me and Brother Wesley were talking, and we talked about the somatic complaints that people often have when they have depression or anxiety. And a lot of times people think, oh, okay, I have back pain. I must have pulled a muscle, or I have leg pain, I must have hurt myself. And you go to the doctor and they can't find anything wrong with you. Because most of the time you're carrying the stress and the trauma and the pain and the depression and the anxiety and anything else that you can think of in your body. Bessel van der Kolk has a book called The Body Keeps the Score.
Amen.
Does anybody know about Bessel? He is a world-known psychiatrist. And he has done so much research. And he says, basically, what you experience and what you encounter, your body holds it. Just like you're holding tight to a baby, keeping a baby from falling. And so you hold it, and it's almost as if you're stuck in that holding position.
Could you read that book?
The Body Keeps the Score. By Bessel, B-E-S-S-E-L, van der Kolk. And so you have to make sure that when you're going to the doctors and they have unexplained reasons for why you have pain in your body, it may be time to start reflecting and trying to figure out, is there something that I have not dealt with? You can't ignore the past. Even as believers, you can pray, but if you don't confront and deal with it, or even acknowledge that it exists, you can't fight what you don't acknowledge is present. So the journey that you're on, you can't look at it from the perspective of, I'm just looking to get to the end. Well, no racer, no runner ever just jumps to the end of the race and run through the tape. They have to actually run the course.
Yes.
You're not exempt from life. Therefore, you're exempt from going through the journey. I'm not a biblical scholar, but I do know that when they were in the wilderness for 40 years, it was a 2-day journey. They should have never had to have gone through 40 years. It was 2 days, am I right? It was a straight shot, but God said, nope, you're going to do this. It literally took, he took them all around the moon. Their journey took longer than it should have. But the reality is, whatever journey you have, the sooner you commit to it, the sooner you come out of it. Even if it is a lifelong diagnosis, you're talking about now being equipped with strategies and techniques that make the journey easier, that make it doable. I tell people all the time, therapy can save your life. It can save your life. Because it's a place to go for visibility. You talk about, as I kept hearing when you speak, I kept hearing transparency and vulnerability. And you have to have the courage to take that step to make the call. Therapists, pastors, first ladies, ministers of music, pastors' wives sit on my couch and they say, I should know what to do. And I said, who said it? Who says that you're supposed to know what to do every step of the way? I don't even know what to do every step of the way. I have to regroup and figure out what is next. So we also have depression, anxiety, PTSD, adjustment disorder. Adjustment disorder is another one. When you have a hard time moving from one phase of your life to another, maybe because of someone has passed away. And so breathing makes it difficult to move forward without that element. Oh, it's up there. It disappeared. All right, so these are some signs and symptoms of depression: loss of interest, rage, irritability, humiliation, isolation, and anxiety. All right. So here's some facts, and what I'm going to do is make sure we have the PowerPoint available for you. So I know some people are actually taking pictures, but I will send them to Pastor Tina so you can actually have an actual copy, all right, of these notes. But depressive disorders account for close to 41.9% of the disability, from neuropsychiatric disorders among women compared to 29.3% among men. Why do you think it's more among women than men? And anyone can shout out something. More emotional, say? Oh, okay, almost. They do play a factor, yes.
I think they do more worrying. I think they worry a lot more too.
Ours is definitely more emotional, whereas men will hold things and try and do projects to keep themselves busy, or it may come out in anger.
Right.
It's more behavioral for men.
I think we cover more. Though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We battle it more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
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 And so, and that ends up being more dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we pretend. We're big pretenders.
Yes. I wouldn't call you a pretender. You're just trying to figure out what to do.
We pretend.
So what you will learn today is that I am a master reframer. I reframe every statement into a positive message because we have to be careful. One, yeah, you want to be honest, but two, you don't want to attach yourself to a statement or a label. I want to say pretender. It's a scary place to try and figure out what is happening in that moment, especially when it's unfamiliar. Why am I going through this? How did I get here? Yeah. Leading mental health problems of the older adult are depression, organic brain syndromes, and dementia. Again, majority of women. And we're also talking about access to services and that more women will go to the doctor than men.
Yeah, that's
So you're talking about these statistics are based on who's actually seeking help. Okay? So we have a lot of people who haven't even taken the first step. Lack of knowledge, fear, stigma, and fear of the unknown. If I go, what will they say? I don't want a title attached to my insurance. I don't want people to know that I'm going to therapy. Oftentimes people will call therapy life coaching, and I would say, why? It's therapy. Therapy is cool. We have t-shirts now that say that. We do. My therapist rocks. Healing is the real bag. Going to therapy. You know, because we're trying to make sure we remove that stigma. So now, let's step over now to this faith and mental health. And I've been touching on it a little bit, but there are hundreds of scriptures that speak to keeping the mind, the body, and the soul, and God giving you peace. And early on I mentioned that when people often come in, or no, I'm not even going to talk about who comes into therapy. I want to talk about the people who believe that if you go to therapy, it cancels out your faith. When the best thing you can do is integrate your faith into your therapeutic process. Studies have found that people who bring their faith into therapy end up being more successful. And I'm not talking about position, I'm talking about emotion. They end up coming through the journey more involved, more positive, more confident, more courageous, unafraid. And if they are afraid in the beginning, they do it afraid. You gotta push. What I did not mention, I know we have believers, but I often will have believers come into my office and ask me, what does Selah mean? It's in the Bible 44 times. It means to pause and to meditate on what you just read or heard. So my mantra at Selah is pause, reflect, revive. So when you come into the office and we begin to talk about and process what it is you do, okay? So that is when you start making the commitment to yourself. 1 Thessalonians 5:23 says, now may the God of peace make you holy in every way, and may your whole spirit and soul and body be kept blameless until our Lord Jesus Christ comes again. God will make this happen, for he who calls you is faithful. You have an obligation to take care of you because of your commitment to him. So again, you don't get a pass. Then 1 Corinthians says, 6:19, do you know that your bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit, who is in you, whom you have received from God? You are not your own. So again, just like you would deal with a cut or a wound or a bruise, you have an obligation to take care of this, and you have an obligation to take care of this. The heart, the mind, the soul are all connected. You cannot allow either one of them to just shrivel up. We talk about the integration and also making sure that we understand it's important. So when you're seeking a clinician that helps you, you can seek a clinician who is faith-based. And even if they're not faith-based, there are clinicians who say, yes, let's incorporate your faith. I have individuals who come to me who may not be of the same faith, but I'm able to help them in their journey because of what's important to them. I come with no judgment. I can't change them. And when they come in the door, they know my faith. And I'll ask them, are you okay with that? To make sure that they feel safe. Because I never want anyone to come in the door thinking I'm going to judge them on where they are or what their journey looks like. So that's important. So when you think about the integration of faith and mental health, Dr. Kevin Anderson says, I think of the practice of psychology, the study of the human psyche, which is a Greek word for breath, life, or soul. Do you see the connection? Psychiatry, the brain, how you think. It's breath, it's life, and it's the soul. It's connected. Meaning you can't dismiss it. It's part of who you are. It's who you are. And he goes on to say, it's a form of care of the soul that can heal the mind and the body. We just talked about trauma, how the body keeps the score. If you can heal here, and you can heal here, you can heal all of this.
Amen.
But you can't try and heal this, and you don't deal with this. And you can't just say, oh, they have something going on. Or, I'll get over it. No, let's not get over it. Let's go through it. Let's address it. I think that has been my biggest wake-up call as a clinician. Because I sit in that chair, I'm more vulnerable to the feeling, what people feel, and my own feelings are now exacerbated. I have to be so careful how I manage myself, that I don't take on other people's stuff to the extent that I start thinking that now I'm sharing their symptoms. They call that folie à deux, where you actually mimic the symptoms of another person.
What's the word again?
Folie à deux, D-E-U-X, like two people. You have shared symptoms. Where we would call it compassion fatigue, carrying more than you should. And so I'm constantly resetting. I love resetting because it keeps me out of place of judging myself too bad and judging others. It keeps me humble. It keeps you humble. And it keeps you in a place of having increased understanding and compassion for what it is you're going through. Because I don't think that we have patience or compassion for ourselves often. We give others a pass, but we don't often give ourselves a pass. We pray for others with a vengeance, but we don't pray for ourselves with a vengeance. Dr. Anita Phillips says, prayer is a weapon. I love her. Okay. But therapy is a strategy. When I heard her say that, I was watching the segment that she was on, and I had never seen it that way before. And for me, this is what brought home the whole faith and mental health concept. Because again, one does not cancel out the other. So if anything, they're now partners in crime. Okay, well, not crime. We don't want them to get in trouble and get arrested, right? So, but you want prayer and therapy to go together. Therapy is a strategy. That's where you find yourself understanding the importance of how do I pray about my commitment to wholeness and healing emotionally? How do I use these scriptures to speak life to myself so I can change my thinking and therefore change my behaviors? As a man thinketh, so is he.
Amen.
Using the word God as you go on your journey is imperative to your well-being. The other piece is that therapy is great, but therapy helps you to do the work in between sessions. People only wait to get to therapy to start talking about things. I'm going, okay, what did you do during the week?
Come on, come on.
When I work with my couples, I'll ask them, how was church on Sunday? Oh, it was great. Did you two talk about the message in the car together? Oh, we don't do that. Oh, you don't? Okay, well, here's your assignment.
Good.
Talk about the message together. Talk about how it applies to your marriage, your individual lives, how it impacts your home. How are you applying what you have heard in the service? Therefore, how are you applying what you have heard in your therapy session? Just like you take the tools from Sunday morning or Wednesday night Bible study to use throughout the week, you're doing that with the strategy in therapy. And you're applying it to your life on a daily basis, saying, okay, how do I make sure I'm working the actual plan and seeking consistency, therefore I can have change. And you start to see the light at the end of the tunnel. You start to realize, okay, I actually can live a full life with mental illness. My life is not over. It's actually just beginning. It's just beginning. So we know with faith and mental health, there are strategies. There are different treatment options. There's cognitive behavioral therapy, which I don't expect you to know all of this stuff. But when you go in, you should not just be sitting in a chair shooting the breeze like it's you and your girlfriend or your boyfriend. There really should be some work. And you may have sessions like that where it may be a little bit chill because you're starting to feel more comfortable. But for the most part, you should be saying to yourself, okay, let me give an update on how I'm doing this week. Let me talk about where I had challenges this past week. You know that handout you gave me? Questions 1 and 2, that worked well for me, but 3, that was hard. Don't think that it has to be perfect. We just want you to do the work and keep coming. Then you have mindfulness and relaxation. How many of you know that your health insurance, some plans, not all, will cover a massage using your flexible spending account? Any of you aware of that? Yeah. Yes.
I did not know that.
Yes.
Wow.
Check your insurance and see what it covers. These are forms of self-care that enhance your therapeutic journey. I had a great massage therapist, and she had a baby, and I was like, I don't trust anybody else. I'll just wait till Regina comes. But it's nothing like being able to go somewhere and take care of you and fall asleep and nobody judge you for snoring on the table. Right? And when you leave, not just your body feels good, but the next thing you know, your sinuses are drained because you do something to our necks. I don't know what that is.
Come on.
But,
Amen. Yep.
and you have this purging thing going on. And next thing you know, we're not just feeling better, we're getting better. Our body is literally going through a transformative process. Meaning the mind, the body, the soul, the psyche. Therefore, if you feel better, you think better, you do better. All right? And then you have this togetherness. We're going to talk more about that at the end. I'm glad you talked about Ruth and Boaz because I'm going to talk about Naomi and Ruth and the importance of relationships.
Wow.
So make sure that you have togetherness because relationships are important. It's okay to isolate every now and then and regroup. Just don't do it too long. Not too much isolation is not good. Remember, socialization is necessary. Go through this really quickly. Education is important because one, we need people to know that it's common. There we go. We know that it's common. We know that many people are impacted by it. We know that there are lack of resources, but we also know that there are many people who are available to provide services. How many of you have heard of Psychology Today? Got about four hands. Okay, 5. Okay, 6. If I keep doing that, I'm just going to keep counting. So, Psychology Today is probably the #1 resource for finding a therapist or a psychiatrist or even a psychiatric nurse practitioner. You can go there and use the filter, put your insurance in, put your location, put what type of treatment you're looking for, and they will give you a list of clinicians in your area that can support you. If you don't want to go that route and you don't feel courageous enough to handle that, you can call your insurance company and say, I'm trying to find a provider in my area, can you help me? And they actually have representatives that will do the work for you. Every day I have a message. Hi, I have this client who needs services and it looks like you take out insurance, can, call me back and see if we can schedule them. So the resources are there. The difference between mental health and mental illness is one, the first one that I talked about earlier is that it means physical health, emotional health, social health, meaning it's absent of all of the other areas that we've been talking about all along, the depression, the anxiety, the PTSD, and the adjustment disorder. And then mental illness is when you have symptoms that equate to a diagnosis. Okay. Now, normally when I show this slide, I'm normally teaching other people how to be supportive of others, but I'm going to ask you in this moment to see it from that perspective, but also how to make sure you get what you need from others. Because this is a way of letting people know how to help you. Often we want to give advice. We jump right to, this is what you should do, versus, how can I help you?
Amen.
Or is it okay if I just come and sit with you? I'm not going to say anything. Silence is actually a gift.
Amen.
It's okay to sit in silence.
Amen.
And I thank you for the amens. But I'll tell you, we were talking about this earlier, me and Wesley, where I never gauged a room as good or bad if somebody gives feedback, because the topic is so heavy.
Amen.
But if the seed is planted, I'm grateful. Because I need whatever tools are up here, I need it to stick internally. So that you're always in a mode of helping yourself. Look for people who are genuine and respectful. Look for people who are comfortable with silence. If they're getting anxious and you're anxious, that's just not going to be good to have 2 anxious people trying to get through an issue.
Come on.
Call your calm friends. If you just need someone to sit with you. And also, if you have a need, don't call an individual where you may end up providing counsel to them. Therefore, you're still ignoring what may be happening internally. People look for friends that are very similar. It's okay to have different types of friends to know who to connect with in different situations.
Wow.
And it's also important to know who can manage what it is that you're dealing with in that moment.
That's right.
I have a group of friends, but my circle is pretty small. But I have about one or two people. Hey, I need to process this. And what I love about these 2 ladies is that when I'm done, they know it's situational, not that it's a permanent situation. So I'm not going to hear about it 2 weeks later. So what's going on with so-and-so? What are you talking about? Because at this point, I've moved on. I worked through it, but they're still holding on to it like a baby.
Come on.
So you have to know who you have in your circle, who can manage what it is that you have going on in your life.
Amen.
You only have one John the Beloved. God had several.
Only one John the Beloved, that's it.
That's it.
I might have one and a half or two, is that okay?
Well, there's a group of one,
Mm-hmm.
John the Beloved. Then there's the three, Peter, James, and John. That was another circle.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was the 12.
Yeah.
Then there was the 70. Then the 500. Each one cannot go, the other one is.
Well, I'll tell my friends later they can't be twins. So, I have to pick which one. Then you have be accepting even though you may not agree. So even when you're on that side of listening, I was talking to someone this week and they was like, yeah, and I told them I didn't agree with that and I didn't do this, and I said, wait, okay, well what happened to how they were feeling in the moment? Well, what do you mean? I said, you took their moment away. I said, what do you mean? I said, well, they came to you and they attempted to process, but you made it about you.
Exactly. Come on. Come on.
So you took their moment to process,
That's a mic drop.
which created an unsafe situation,
Yes.
In your face.
which puts them in a position to say, I don't know if I will share with them or anyone ever again.
Right on.
So you have to be careful that you're not that person,
Taking that moment away.
even as a believer, with good intentions, that you're not that person that causes an individual to shut down.
Come on.
Wow. Wow.
The other thing to keep in mind, and I don't have it up there, is that your experience does not equate to expertise.
Exactly.
Because you have gone through something does not mean that you get to tell everyone what to do, and that is the same answer because it's what you did and it worked for you.
Exactly.
Everyone's journey is different.
Yes.
That's why you have to ask that question.
Yep.
What do I need right now to be okay? What do I need in the long term to be healthy? Experience does not equate to expertise. And that can be used in any situation. How am I doing, Pastor Tina, with time? Okay. So we talked a little bit about that. Oh, I didn't know we did that. Okay. Oh, okay. So there are different types of professionals. As I said earlier, we have social workers, counselors. We are all licensed to do this work. Okay? When you're seeking a professional, look for those letters. Ask them what is their background. What is their experience or knowledge in working with what you have experienced? It's okay to look for someone who specializes in what you're going through. The first one does not have to be the right one. It's like a job. You may have to call and do that quick screening to know whether or not they're right for you.
That's right.
Right? I'm going to go through this really quickly because self-care is a form of, I would say, it's the best care of mental health for you. Meaning you're taking care of everything. And I have some bookmarks out there that you can have that actually have these on there. But schedule a time that's just for you. There has to be work-life balance. And work-life balance does not mean that there are equal parts. It means that you're finding a way to manage things and you're allotting a time to certain areas so that one does not become neglected. You're making sure that you're in that equation. Work-life balance doesn't mean you're managing all of these and you're on the outside of the circle. Okay? You have to take care of you. Be your own friend.
Wow.
Learn how to be best friends with you. I'm just going to leave that there.
It's powerful right there.
Be your own friend. Friendship starts with you. How can you even say what you need from someone else if you don't know what that looks like in a relationship with yourself? Get a hobby. Have an accountability partner. And stop apologizing for taking care of you.
Come on.
You owe no one nothing for taking care of you. That's first and foremost. You don't have to have an explanation unless you just want to share, but you should not be sharing out of guilt.
Amen.
As to why you can't do something.
Come on.
You come first. Mindset is everything. Prayer and therapy equals power. This is when you get to put on a cape and fly around like Supergirl and Superman. Okay? Now you put on the cape and you wear yourself out because you don't take care of you. But this is when you get to put on the cape and say, I'm doing this. Power reframing. Change how you speak to yourself about yourself in situations. Speak life to yourself.
Yes.
Amen.
And know that self-care is not only not selfish, but it's contagious. You ever did something and you look up and a couple of neighbors or friends, they did the same thing, and it's like, wait, I was doing that first. It's like, no, let them follow. Let them follow suit.
Right.
Let them all get cute, right? So, I like doing that because I make y'all chuckle. But it's contagious. When you're taking care of you, people start paying attention that there's something different about you. They don't put as many demands on you. Because they realize, oh, well, let me ask first versus volunteering someone. They respect you better when you respect yourself. So you remember, you're teaching people how to treat you. If you don't have boundaries in place, anything goes. Then just do it. Shirt last night. Just do it. Start somewhere. Now, this is important, and I hope I have at least 3 more. Okay. When you look up in Wikipedia and you check out a star or an actor, there's a net worth amount that's under their name. If you were to look up your name, what would you see? Imagine yourself. Just imagine. I'm saying look up now because we know our name is not going to be on Wikipedia. But what would you see? What would you see when it comes to value? You have to start knowing your worth and then adding tax. Increase your value so that people see, they start to know who you are as a person, but also who you are in God. And this is not to puff you up. This is saying, I'm understanding what's happening eternally, and I'm protecting it. And I'm guarding it, and not allowing it to just fall by the wayside.
Amen. Sweet.
You don't have the obligation. Sorry, excuse me, let me backtrack. You don't have the luxury, that's the word, to ignore your mental health.
Could you just repeat what you said about the first part? Know your worth and
Add tax.
and what?
Tax. You know, you have tax or something.
Okay.
Now, this is where I'm probably going to be honest. When you have Ruth and Naomi, this has been one of my favorite stories for about 25 years, and it started because of my relationship with my godmother. And whenever I was going through something, she made sure I was right under her. And I remember reading this, and I got her a journal, and it said, "Entreat not to leave thee." So no matter what you're going through, don't leave me. Now we know their story kind of started with a lot of pain and loss. But the outcome was great, but they still had a journey that they had to go on. And so with the story of Ruth and Naomi, I'm encouraging you to establish healthy relationships with the people in your life. And relationships that are not healthy, be okay with setting up those barriers and boundaries that protect your emotional well-being.
Come on. Come on.
So that you don't have anyone who hinders you on your journey.
Amen.
There's never going to be anyone who values your journey and your value and your emotional well-being the way that you do and the way God does. So don't take it lightly. Let it be a priority. So if I can leave you with anything, mental health is the greatest form of self-care. It's not selfish, it's medical, it's common, it's treatable, and it's even better when you partner with prayer. Know the signs and symptoms, prioritize you, and make sure you have the best people possible in your corner. I wish you well.
Amen.
So as we do, we're going to take 5 minutes to lock this in. We don't talk about this. You're in boot camp. They cannot send you to war if you have something that is going on in your heart and mind. When 9/11 happened and they were ready to deploy people, and you had something going on in your life, you had to stay behind.